What's up, y'all? Y'all been asking for a part 2, and I am back to give y'all a part 2. So we're going to do this different. I'm not going to read the book word for word or post any book pages because I ain't trying to get striked, and I don't want to, I ain't trying to step on no one's toes, okay? But I'm just going to tell you what I just read in the book because I am like, baby girl, I'm about to pass out. This is crazy. I don't know how this hasn't went viral. And now I'm wondering if this is where this Chris Webber rumor is coming from. So I was over there reading the book as I've been doing because it's a good read. When we're talking about the Takari Lee story, Light to Her Shadow, go ahead and read it. I posted the link. Her book is on Amazon. Anyways, so while I was reading it, I got some tea and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, basically. So Takari said her mom left her dad when she was about 3, and that's when she started dating Doug. Okay, so Takari says she was told by a reliable source that her stepfather had approached and tried to get with her mom while she was still with Takari's dad. But she had told Doug that she turned him down basically and told him his paper wasn't long enough. So I was like, bitch, you better go, Jackie. Evelyn talking about she sold the cat for $20. No. Jackie was on her P's and Q's. She was getting money, okay? Okay, so supposedly he had backed off but was still around in the picture. So once Jackie stopped messing with Takari's dad and she started really messing with Doug, Takari said the first time she met Doug, she was about 3 years old, and her mom came by her grandma's house.
Okay,
and
here goes the interesting
and
part.
Then they went
She
over
said
to
after she seen
Jackie's
him
apartment,
that time,
and then she said a tall man came in, and it was
again
Doug. For a long time. She don't remember seeing him again until Chantel was born. Okay, then she said about 3 months after he got picked up by Supersonics back in 1992, her mom was pregnant with supposedly Doug's baby. Okay, she claims that her mom and Doug were still not together when she got pregnant, right? And she said that Doug knew about Jackie's past. He knew that she had bodies. That's the crazy part. That's literally, she wrote that. Her dad knew that she had bodies, and she knew that Jackie was dealing with men in the streets, and it was allegedly out there that he wasn't even the father of Chantel, that allegedly it was another baller. She didn't say basketball player or football player, but baller, we're going to assume is basketball. So, okay, wait, I'm going to pause because there has been so many AI YouTube videos about Chris Webber is really Doug's daughter dad. He's really Chantel's father, and people have been going at me in the comments like, oh, she don't even look like Doug. I think that's Doug's daughter, for one. For two, I think these AI channels are out of control. They just make videos about anything, and it's not true. And Doug and him are even cool. Like, I even seen they had like a little show together not even long ago, but they had like some business. They're like friends. So I don't think it's true, but to know that this book came out 10 years ago and she wrote in the book that Doug might not be Chantel's dad and that supposedly it was another basketball player is crazy work. So anyway, she goes on to say that everyone questioned the paternity of Chantel, even the grandma, which is Doug's mom. She said Doug's mom hated Jackie, despised her, never liked her from the jump. She said Doug's mom wanted nothing to do with Jackie or Takari, which is fucking sad. That ain't cool. And that she was the main one that was always questioning Chantel's paternity. So she said Doug's mom forbade him from talking to Jackie, and he wouldn't. So guess what? He ended up not speaking to his mom, cut his mom off out of his life, and picked Jackie. In Takari's own words, she said her sentiments at the time created a wedge so deep between her and her mother that it caused Doug to turn his back on his own mom. Boom. Takari goes on to say that everyone always accused her of being jealous of her sister, and she had no jealousy towards her sister. Like, people accused her basically of being jealous of Chantel because, Chantel is Doug's daughter. And she was like, I have no jealousy of her because she is just a product just like me. She wasn't made out of love. She was born out of opportunity. So there's nothing to be jealous of, basically. Now, this part of the book I found really interesting because she said the only difference in their, situations between her dad and her dad was that Chantel was able to control her dad, and she still does to this day. Mind you, this book is a few years old, but if we know what we know from watching Basketball Wives, what does Chantel say when she whooping her mom's ass? Oh, call dad. Tell dad that. I'm going to call dad. I'm going to call dad. Like, so is she controlling her dad? Kind of crazy, right? Okay, Takari goes on to say that when her mom gave birth to Chantel, she was living high class in a nice townhouse in Kirkland, wherever that is, child, I don't know. And that Doug was living in LA because he was playing for the Lakers, and the paternity of her sister hadn't been established at this point. And Takari, was still living with her grandma, and she said she didn't care. She was attached to her grandma, and she said this was the start of them having different type of lifestyles. She said her sister always had the best, and that she didn't. She said she was cramped up with her grandma in small living quarters, but like I said, she didn't care because she loved her grandma. So she didn't care that her mom was just taking care of Chantel. But this is where the book gets juicy because Jackie, I knew you was an OG, but I didn't know you was a triple OG, Jackie. She said, listen to this. She said money was getting tight. So they started doing what they call mall runs. You want to know what a mall run is? Basically, when you steal shit and you return it back to the mall. She didn't say who was stealing it, but she said her mom, her grandma, her aunties, they would all go to the malls and take back stolen goods to the department stores like Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenues. And I think I remember her mentioning this on the show back in the day. Tell me in the comments if y'all remember. She said sometimes it would take all day. They would be sitting up in the car. And like, I know Jackie spent a lot of time in the Bay, but is she from the Bay? Because I did not know this side of Jackie. This is funny to me. I'm sorry. They really need to stop playing with Jackie on the show before she really hurts somebody, because if Jackie really from the streets like that, she might really hurt one of them bitches on the show. They need to stop playing with her. She said her grandma would be feeding them bologna sandwiches while they was in the back seat, while all the elders were up in the store doing their thing, doing their scam. And I didn't mention last time in the book, but Takari admitted that, when she was working at, where did I tell y'all she was working at in part 1? I can't remember right now. But wherever she was working at, she started doing that at her store. She was taking back stuff to like another store that she worked at, but a different one, like not her location, Nordstrom's. So she would take stuff after work to a different Nordstrom's and return it, and she got caught up and all this stuff. So basically it was a learned behavior because Takari seen her mama, grandma, and aunties doing it allegedly. Okay. She said during these days, Jackie was on her thug thizzle. Okay, this is what she did all day, every day, 24/7. She didn't have no job. This was her hustle, and they treated it like the dope game. Okay. She said she only remembered 2 times when someone from the family got arrested, but who knows? She was a kid. Maybe it did happen more. Who knows? So she said one time she knew her grandma was hiding something. She knew she was acting funny. So she started eavesdropping, and she found out that her mom got arrested. But she didn't say it was for stealing. She said that supposedly it was a mistaken identity, and it ended up being Jackie Homegirl. So I don't know if Jackie Homegirl had used her name, got her a warrant, and Jackie got arrested, but Jackie was in and out of jail, okay? Right in and out. And we know if she got arrested for petty theft, Evelyn would have talked about it on Basketball Wives. Okay, so then she says another time her grandma almost went to jail, girl. So Jackie had bought her grandma a red Astro van. Shout out to the Astro van. My dad used to have one. Loved it. Anyways, she said she was, having a hard time paying bills, paying registration, all that. So they went on a mall run, her aunt and her grandma. She said the aunties got them caught up. When the aunties came back to the car, the grandma drove off, but the mall police had already showed the police like, oh, that's them right there. They got pulled over. They end up taking the aunts to jail, and they let the grandma go because the grandma had kids in the car. So they were like, go ahead and let you go. She said her mom was messing with Doug at this time, but he wasn't like a big baller at this time. He didn't have that much money. So they were doing their own thing. They refused to ask Jackie for help. They were like, nah, we ain't doing it. We'll get our own money type shit. Okay, so this is another good part of the book. Right after that, she said, once Paternity proved that Doug was Chantel's dad, then he moved them to LA. So that's what I'm talking about. Everyone in my comments talking about, that's not his baby, that's not his baby. So Doug got a DNA test according to the book, and that is his baby. And then he moved Jackie and Chantel with him to LA once he found out, boom, that is my baby. Okay, one thing about Jackie is can't nobody say she wasn't taking care of her family, even though, she was having Takari live with her grandma, and that's a little side eye, but Takari said she liked living with her grandma. She was cool with it. When Jackie got put on, she tried to bring her family with her, and so I'm going to tell you what she said about that in the book. So she said when Doug found out that was his baby, he moved Jackie and Chantel to downtown LA. They had a beautiful skyrise in downtown, and Jackie was trying to leave her little hustler lifestyle alone, and be a basketball wife. So Takari states in the book, after she visited a couple times, 2 or 3 times, her mom decided she was going to move them all into LA. She said it would be better if I just moved them over to LA. So she put her grandma, her Aunt Bunny, her cousins Lexi, God, I always mess this name up. Her cousin Oz and her, Takari, she moved them all to LA. Okay, so let's not act like, let's put a little respect on Jackie's name. Let's not act like she just left her family in the dust when her husband was making money with the NBA. Okay, so this is a little bit of tea. She said when they moved to LA, Jackie gave them the high rise, and her and Doug moved and got their own place, and she wouldn't let them know where she lived. She said her mom was always funny like that. She don't know if it's because she used to be in the dope game or what, but she said her mom was always paranoid and wouldn't let nobody know where she lived. That kind of shows you maybe how Jackie was raised. I had a lot of people in my comments telling me, looking how Jackie was raised. She was adopted. She had a hard life. She had a hard childhood. So maybe some things happened in her childhood where she don't even trust giving no one her address, which is kind of sad. But let's not act like it wouldn't be hurtful for Takari to be growing up with the grandma and Chantel be growing up with Doug. Like, that's hurtful. But, I mean, you see the shit all the time. Grandma's raising people's kids. I've never experienced that, but I have seen it. So she said that they were only living in that skyrise for a couple months, and then the Northridge earthquakes hit. Once the Northridge earthquakes hit, you already know what kind of damage that caused. Apartments fell, people died. So she said Jackie was scared, and she said that was the first time she ever seen Jackie really show like she cares about anybody. And she said Jackie hurried up and moved them to some house in LA. And clock it, she said they moved the same week. So Jackie had them up out of there. She was scared of them earthquakes. She was scared something was going to happen to her family. So she moved them right up out of there. So she said while they were living in LA, her uncle died, which was her grandma's baby boy. And she was hurt by that. So she decided to move back to Seattle. She took Takari with her. Okay, so Takari said that their living situation was messed up because they had a little 2-bedroom. The grandma converted it into a 3-bedroom, and she had all kind of aunties, uncles, kids living in there. So she usually shared a room with her grandma. She said they had rats really bad. The grandma used to try to get rid of the rats, but it never worked because the rat would just terrorize everyone. She said there was a crazy schizophrenic man living downstairs, and her mom knew about this guy, and she never really cared, like wasn't worried about Takari being around him until one day Jackie came to visit. And this mofo called the SWAT team on their house and said they were terrorists and all kinds of shit. So the SWAT team came, locked the house down. She said Jackie was so pissed because Jackie couldn't leave. Now, Jackie likes to leave when she want to leave. Bye, bye. And she said Jackie was pissed that she couldn't leave. Okay, so I guess after they were released from the SWAT, I guess Jackie, this is what Takari said. My mother still had a front store in Blood Alley. I don't know what the hell that means, girl. A front for what? But I'm going to have to go back in the book and read some more. I'll let y'all know in a couple of seconds. But anyways, she says, so she let them stay in the back of the store until the rats were gone or until they got the rats, rid of, whatever, which took a couple days. Takari says she remembered being at the store then and at several other occasions. She said her mom and Doug and whoever else used to bring into the store conducting business. What kind of business? I don't know. She said that her family was the type to always tell their business in front of the kids, but they would be like, here, get some candy, get some money, run off, that type of stuff. And she said that she remembers a lot of people used to frequent the store, but she remembers one person that used to come through was the general manager of the Sacramento Kings. And she used to love when he came through because they would always give them money to go get ice cream at McDonald's. You know, typical shit. So it seems like Doug been locked in with the Sacramento for a long time. That's probably how he got this general manager position. Is Doug from the Bay or is he from Sac? I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay, Doug was from Washington. My bad. So she said after that, her mom and Doug ended up buying a house in Federal Way. She said it was a bomb-ass 3-story house. And one day they went over there for her sister's, Chantel's 2-year-old birthday. She said she went in there and she couldn't believe it. Like her jaw hit the floor. She was like, the house was so beautiful. She couldn't even believe that they lived like that. When she was living with her grandma in a roach-infested house, you know, with all her family members. But she went into Chantel's room. She said Chantel had a bomb-ass pink room with bunk beds. She was like, okay, one of the bunk beds must be for me. But Chantel got all her stuffed animals on it, whatever. But that just shows you that Chantel has always been raised with a silver fucking spoon in her mouth. And you can kind of see that's what the problem is. She's always been spoiled. She's always got everything she wanted. Even Takari said in the book, she's always had Doug under her thumb and gets whatever she wants. Okay, but let's go back to the book. So Takari goes on to say that she didn't want to stay there, even if she had a choice, because she was so attached to her grandma. She loved her grandma. So she said they did end up getting their own big, beautiful house on the lake in Washington. And she said all because of her aunt's schemes. So she had an aunt. She said the aunt name was Lynn. And she said she thinks her aunt always envied her mom. But she must have came up with the best scheme of all time because they got their own beautiful house on the hill. They all moved in. It was a pink house. They had panoramic views. And she said they was up there living large and in charge, okay? So she said everyone that lived at the house, because there still was a bunch of family members now, was scheming, okay? She said nobody had a real job. She said everyone had a hustle and bustle. Her aunts were still doing mall runs for the Italian mafia. And they had started doing more of them. And they stayed in the house for about a year until shit went down. One day, the shit went down at the house. She said everyone was packing up the house so quick. She thought the house was about to get raided. But the story that she heard when she was little was that supposedly she had a cousin that was trying to come after the family and off everyone. So she said everyone packed up their clothes, left the furniture, and they went and stayed at the Motel 6. But something must have really went down because she said they only stayed there for a couple days. Then her aunts were like, oh no, we need to get up out of Seattle. So they moved to Tacoma. Later on, Takari found out that her aunts were on drugs or an aunt. She said her aunt's drug use had caused them to do something shady, which caused them to lose that house. And the house had went into foreclosure and the aunts had went on the run. So that's what happened with that house. So she said when her aunties moved to Tacoma, her grandma had told Jackie what was going on. And Jackie moved them to, she didn't actually say if Jackie moved them to Federal Way. But she said when she told Jackie what was going on, that they moved to Federal Way. Just her and her grandma moved into Federal Way where Jackie was living. Mind you, Jackie had the house in Federal Way. So they moved to some apartments on Federal Way. And it was just 7 minutes away from Jackie. So I'm assuming Jackie put them up in that apartment. And she said, you know, they had a furniture delivered. She didn't say if Jackie delivered it now. She just said that it was the first time that her and her grandma had their own place. It wasn't with family. She was happy to be close to her mom, but sad that she wasn't going to be with the rest of her family anymore. But she was happy to be with her grandma. Okay, so she does go on to say that they had furniture delivered. And she thought that this was the first time in her life Jackie was trying to take responsibility for her. So it is clear that Jackie moved them over there. Jackie sent them furniture. And she thought, oh, yay, you know, Jackie is, you know, finally going to love me. We're going to have this good relationship. I'm summarizing now. That's not what she said. She said, I thought finally she's going to take responsibility for me. That's what she said. For once, I thought my mother was finally taking some responsibility for me. That's what she said. She said, although she was still going to be living with her grandma, that's her cozy place, and that's where she's comfortable. That's where she wanted to be. So, no, she wasn't living on the house on the hill with Jackie, but she was fine with that because she liked being with her grandma, and she thought her mom was doing that for her because she's comfortable with her grandma. Okay, so Takari goes on to say that she thought her mom was doing this for her, because her mom was showing that she loved her. But then she said she soon realized that, nah, she's just doing it for her own needs. Living close to me and grandma was more beneficial to her. And she said she realized Jackie didn't really love her like she loved Chantel. She said, they live two different lives. Okay, so then that ended that chapter. Then she goes on to a new chapter talking about how she starts off with Doug was traded to the Toronto Raptors, and she was seeing even less and less of her mom now, and she didn't care. She liked it that way. She didn't want to see Jackie like that, she said. She said she stayed being her grandma's top priority, and Doug was her mom's top priority. She does say in the book that it's no secret that her mom's relationship with Doug is more important than anything else in her life. So that's kind of sad. Kind of feel for her for that. Okay, so even though she said she was seeing less and less of her mom kept paying the rent to their apartment. And she said, don't think just because she paying the rent that she doing that for free. She said that her mom always expected something in return. She said she viewed family as a business, and whatever she did for someone, she expected, something in return. That's basically what Takari said. But my thing is, maybe this is just Jackie's love language. Maybe she only knows how to help out financially. Maybe she don't know how to love right because the streets say she was adopted. I got to go research that because I don't remember. But I still haven't heard, besides Jackie letting her mom raise Takari, which is, I could understand, Takari, how you grew up feeling like that's fucked up. That is fucked up. But we see people do that shit every day. They feel like they're not capable of taking care of their kids as good as their mom could take care of them. And I don't know why people do it. I wouldn't do that to my kids. All my kids have been with me all their life. They never went to their dad's house. But hey, I don't know. So I can understand where the hurt comes from on Takari's end. But on Chantel's end, I don't understand it. Jackie then took care of everyone in the family. She was paying everyone's rent, making sure everyone's good. And I just don't get where Chantel's problems come from. The only thing you have told us on the show is that you're mad that your mom was always gone on the road with Doug. What? But if your mom had a job, she would be doing the same fucking thing. You don't have an issue with your dad being gone on the road. So I don't know, but let's keep going. Okay, so Takari goes on to say that people would think that her mom is being generous, buying people cars and houses. But she said it came with the price. She said if her mom was buying her aunt stuff, she would act like her aunt's over the world. But it's I would kind of think that too. If I'm buying people houses and cars, bitch, you better be able to do me a favor. But Takari, that's not on you because you're a child. You're not an adult. So that would not go for you. You are the child. Your mom should do for you regardless. But her sisters and grandma, actually, no, the grandma, you're doing a lot for Jackie already. So anyways, she said that because Jackie was doing a lot of favors for everyone and her grandma, that her grandma became Jackie housekeeper. And she said Doug became her personal trainer, i.e. Takari's personal trainer. She said her mom, Doug, and I'm assuming Chantel, because she said my mom and her family were only there during the off season. So they might be there April or sometimes in June, depending on, what was going on with the basketball season. She said when Jackie was in town, she hated it. She called those hell months because they had to do everything Jackie wanted them to do. She even said they used to have to stop by Jackie's house on their way to school and cook and clean. They would cook breakfast and clean the house. Okay, Jackie, this is a little crazy, but I'm not gonna act like I ain't seen this before. I remember my best friend's mom had borrowed money from her mom, which was my best friend's grandma. And every Saturday, my best friend's mom had to go to her house for my whole fucking childhood. I remember her mom going to this house and vacuuming and cleaning it every goddamn Saturday. And I'm like, why does your mom got to come clean her house every Saturday? She's like, oh, because she borrowed money from her back in the day, so she has to pay off her debt. I'm like, damn, that's cold. She said they would feed them breakfast in bed, then run around and pick up their trash, throw it away. She said she would help her grandma vacuum, but I don't know if Jackie knew she was helping her grandma do her grandma's chores, because she said one day that she was vacuuming and she bumped Jackie's door 3 times. So Jackie came to the bedroom door and opened it, and she's like, oh my God, Takari, I didn't know you knew how to do that, because Takari was 7 or 8, she said. And she was like, I didn't know you know how to do that. Okay, so no, Jackie didn't make her. I'm reading the book word for word. She said, I wasn't required to do so, but to help lighten the load for my grandmother, I did it while she prepared breakfast. Okay, so Jackie wasn't making her do it now. She said Jackie used to give her grandma chore lists and shit to do. She would draw little maps on them and tell them, you need to go here, you need to do this, you need to do that, and give her a list of errands that she need to run. She said she would even give, when she grew up, she would give Takari these, Doug these lists, and Chantel these lists. She would have them do her little to-do list. So she said her grandma would always be cooking Jackie's meals, and she said Jackie and Doug and them had a weird ass vegetarian diet, and they stayed to this strict vegetarian diet up until Jackie got pregnant with little Doug. She said her grandma was always making them meatless meals, and she said her grandma could have brought some home and they could have ate it, but they didn't want that shit. They were like, "Ugh, this shit is gross." So they would go to other family members' houses and get food from them. And Takari said she couldn't understand why they would have to do that. That she thought that her mom treated everyone like their nannies, their housekeeper, their personal assistant. But then Takari says that her mom paid the grandma $500 a month to take care of Takari. So I wonder how Takari feels now. If she feels like Takari said, which didn't go a long way. That's what her words were. The $500 didn't go a long way. But I wonder how she feels now as an adult, because we talking about back in what, the early 2000s or the 90s. I don't know when Takari grew up, but I think she's like 30 something years old now. So yeah, $500 ain't shit nowadays. But back then, your mom paying the rent, she paying the bills, she giving your grandma $500. A lot of people would love it. I'm just saying. But I still know where the hurt comes from with Takari. Like, yeah, your mama should have had you in the house, period. She should have had you right there with Chantel, little light bright ass. She said her grandma did get EBT, but even then she would share that with family members. She was trying to get away from her hustler, scammer ways when she moved there, but she would only go out and hit licks, when she had to. She said that, I already said that Jackie bought her Astra van, so she didn't have to pay for that, but she said she couldn't keep up with the insurance and paperwork, so she got the Astra van impounded. So that's all I'm about to share about the book today. Again, it's a good read if you want to read it. It's on Amazon. It's called Light to Her Shadow by Takari Lee. But tell me what y'all think down in the comments. Do y'all think Jackie was dead ass wrong? Or do you think she was doing the best that she could? Paying bills and paying people's rent. Trying to take people wherever she went. And what do y'all think about Chantel? Do you think she grew up a spoiled brat with a silver spoon in her mouth? And I told y'all them little AI rumors wasn't shit, because everyone was trying to say these AI YouTube channels saying that Chris Webber is Chantel's dad. No, that is Doug baby, okay? But tell me what y'all think down in the comments. Please hit the thumbs up. Talk to me in the comments and I'm going to talk back to you. Please comment, like, subscribe, do all of the things. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.